Morning, Seamus. Thanks very much for joining us today. For the rest of the membership and people watching this is Seamus Dooley. He's the owner of JSD Contracting. They're a Laois-based building contracting business, and also members of the Chamber. They're in business about 14 years, and it's great to have you today. And thanks very much for taking the time out
Very
to
welcome.
share how you've been coping during these very difficult times. So I might just let you start by just giving us a bit of background to the business and maybe the type of work and clients you deal with.
Okay, thanks very much, Bernie. Yeah, it's great to be talking to you here this morning. Okay, we're in business since 2006, and we do a lot of work with, it's all generally commercial works. We work with the Royal College of Surgeons, Circle K, South Dublin County Council, some work with Laois County Council, but generally it's in the commercial sector. And I suppose we cover all of Ireland, particularly with the fuel infrastructure work that we do. So we're based here in Portlaoise, and we've nearly all of our staff are locally based or locally sourced, and our employees similarly that are on the road. So we have at the moment, as with the projects that we have ongoing, are works with Circle K that are a new rebranding project that's continuing throughout the 26 counties. And we have worked with one of the betting companies. So we've some office upgrade works and new accommodation facilities for them that we're hoping that will kick back in next Monday. We're all fingers crossed, hoping to get back to work next Monday, yes.
Yeah. And in terms of the status of the business since the lockdown, were you under the essential services list, or are you completely haven't been doing any work?
No, we've completely closed since the 19th or 16th of March. Yeah. So no, we've closed down since then. So all of our staff have been either working from home or on temporary layoff.
Okay, so you've been able to avail of the temporary wage subsidy scheme?
Yes, we have. We've taken up on the wage subsidy scheme, yeah.
Okay. And have you availed of any other government supports through the local enterprise office? Or?
Yeah, we took up an opportunity to apply for the assistance, so the continuity
voucher.
The continuity, yeah. And we were accepted on that. So we think that that's a great initiative for small businesses like ourselves that are just trying to maybe get our systems better prepared going forward.
And did you mention earlier that was on your safety systems?
Yeah, we're looking at upgrading our safety system. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's great, because that continuity voucher can cover a wide range. Just depends on what the business needs. So it's a great initiative.
Yeah, well, we are ISO accredited under QHS. It was just an opportunity to really probably put better systems in place to deal with
COVID related, I suppose.
Yeah, well, there's going to be lots of changes. Already we're seeing huge change in how we're going to deal with that. Yeah.
Okay. And in terms then of what's been very tricky for every business is the whole area around cash flow management and, ensure that you can continue and reopen. I'm sure that's been a tricky juggling.
Well, it has been. I suppose the wage subsidy scheme has been a huge help for that. We were in a fortunate position that we had some cash reserves. But our cash flow, our revenue has dried up, obviously, since we're only collecting money that was due for up to the end of last month. So really now we're anxious to get back to work and start getting the ball rolling again and getting cash flowing through.
Yeah. And have you found people are paying, or have people just?
Yeah, well, we're fortunate that the clients we have they've good systems in place. We just have to get the work done, have everything on our end correct in terms of paperwork and information to them, particularly about just the whole safety file and say the information that we hand over any job with, that we have those in place. Yeah.
Okay. And then in terms of I'd imagine you have a couple of people working remotely, your engineers and the like. How are you finding the management of that?
Well, I think if nothing else comes out of this, I think there might be less miles on the road, travelling to meetings in Dublin and in Cork and all over the country. I think there's plenty of meetings can be held remotely.
Yeah.
We have people working continuously, tendering for new work, and I mean they're very busy, as busy as ever. On that front, it's just, I suppose, the uncertainty when things are going to start is probably the only thing that has changed.
Yeah, I suppose you mentioned there won't be as many meetings to travel to, so we're going to save on our expenses and on our carbon footprint. You know,
there's no question about that. But I think even, say, if I had a meeting in Dublin afternoon any day, or I was down in Cork, I mean, you're driving maybe for 2 hours each way, and you're racing to get there, you're racing to get home, and I think, you know, the meeting could be done in maybe half an hour, and it's taking, you know, 4.5 hours to do that same meeting.
Yeah,
when you're on the phone in the car and you're trying to do things, it's never as productive.
Yeah, there's certainly many new practices that will be an upshot of this crisis.
I think for certain,
Yeah, and in terms then of your employees returning to work, and we know that's next week, you're in phase one. How have you kind of prepared for that reopening and training and the like?
Okay, well, the CIF took a great lead in that, and we got a step-by-step guide on, I suppose, from the very outset on what we needed to do and what we needed to get in place. So we have standard operating procedures for all of our sites. So they are being presented now to all subcontractors coming back to us, that we have site rules, and all people coming to any of our sites have to have a CIF induction, COVID-19 safety induction course complete. It's an online, I think, 10 or 15 minutes with a small, very simple test at the end. But that is a requirement for everyone going back to work. So we have our procedures in place. The protocols that were announced over the last few days, we had that in place in advance of that being, like, we weren't scrambling. So we worked, I suppose, continuously for 2 to 3 weeks, really getting everything in place. And we've communicated all of that information to our subcontractors over the last few weeks. So there's no one coming in to us on Monday not knowing what's happening. So the only thing that's probably changed is the programs for projects that we had on are all extending now as a result of this, because we need staggered working times. And some of the projects are completely out of hours now when there's no one on site. So we may be working.
It certainly is one sector that for me stood out from the very beginning as to the plan to get back to work. I think the CIF for me looked like they're ahead of the curve. So hopefully other sectors will look at what you're doing and replicate it out.
Yeah, I think there was a learning in that. I think it now has to be managed at the same time. Like, the systems are in place. I think construction is probably well placed to police, because the Health and Safety Authority are doing inspections. We have our own safety officers that carry out inspections. And all our site managers are all trained with managing safety in construction. So we have systems in place, but at the same time, any slippages will be probably picked up on social media. So, like, everyone needs to be fully conscious that this is very, very serious.
Yeah, that's true. Social media could hang you out to dry in one slip up, but please God.
Exactly. We were seeing that just before the close down, actually. There was, like, the amount of people taking out their phones to take photographs of guys working on site.
You're right, actually. I hadn't thought of that. So in terms then of the next 12 months for JSD, what's your kind of feel? I know that's kind of a difficult one to answer, but it's about, I'm assuming, survival and staying in business.
Well, it is. I mean, I think we all need to get back to work. I think when we get back to work, there will be possibly a slight change in the whole atmosphere. I mean, I think up to maybe a month ago, I'd say the first month closed down, I would say people were generally positive that they would be going back to their own job. I think in the last 3 weeks that has changed, and I think people are thinking, do I have a job to go to? And I know some of our clients, their revenue is drying up as well because of the close down. But when people get back to work, that changes for them as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is survival. I think the next 6 to 8 weeks will probably tell a lot on how it is going to develop. But we're hopeful that we have enough work to take us for the next 4 to 5 months. But that depends obviously on our clients continuing to spend money.
Exactly. Well, it sounds like, in fairness, you're in a pretty strong position going into this, which is going to stand to you, hopefully.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, look, that's very valuable insights, and I think everyone is going to be looking at the construction sector next week as you're the first official ones back. So hopefully all will go to plan, and that your projects will continue to be rolled out, and that you get paid for them, which is the main thing.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, thanks very much for taking the time today to chat to us, and looking forward to seeing you at whenever it'll be our next chamber event.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.